How do you implement a Cloud Code function that takes any number of properties? Hi, I'm Alex the Architect from Backup, and this is Talking to the Architect. And today we'll be answering Steven 1984's question. Steve asked, I'm really enjoying this implementation series. I want to create a very flexible Cloud Code function that receives any number of properties and set only the best ones. Is this even possible? And if you're like Steve and if you're enjoying this implementation series, please leave a like in this video and comment out which about the implementation that you want to see. And also remember to subscribe to the channel so you can help us grow. So Steve, this is very easy to achieve, so it's totally possible, and I'm going to show you how. So to show you an example, we're going to operate into the user class where I created a user named Alex. And I set a few other properties in here, such as job, which is a string, age, which is a number, and isEmployee, which is a boolean. And let's say I want to be able to pass in any of those parameters in any combination to my Cloud Code and still get my user updated. So we're going to go to Cloud Code, open Functions and Web Hosting, click on main.js file, and in here we're going to write our Cloud Code function. So I'm going to start defining the Cloud Code function by typing parse.cloud.define and then pass in the name that I want to call my function. I'm going to call this update user. And this also takes an async request that I'm going to arrow function to my code. Now, we need to identify the user from the request, and we'll do that by typing const user equals request.user. So with an authenticated call for this function, it will automatically identify the user that I want to update. If you don't do it like this and you want to be able to make this through unauthenticated calls, you need to make a parse query so you can identify which user you will be updating. In my case, I will be making an authenticated call, so you know which user I will be updating. So now I have to read the parameters from my Cloud Code function and specify those into an object that I'm going to call user data. I'm going to do that by typing const user data equals request.params. So this will take all the parameters that I sent to my Cloud Code function and store into this user data. And it could be any number of parameters in any order and with any combination. Now that I have all this, I have to check if I have this user actually passed in. So if I don't, I have to tell the front-end programmer that the user was not passed in and it must be passed in so I can update it. So if not user, which means I didn't pass in the user, throw new error, user not passed in. Oops. There we go. And if I did pass in the user, so it will jump through this if and get into the part where I have to loop through this user data object, which contains all my parameters, and set those accordingly into my user object, which is over here. We do that by typing object.keys and then user data, which is the variable that contains all my properties, dot for each. And then we're going to get every single one of the keys that I passed. And for every single key that I have in this object in here, I'm going to make I'm going to call the set method for my user object, setting that specific key to its specific value. So user.set, remember this user was passed in over here with the request, and set is how you set properties in parse. So key, which is the actual key name that is in the user data object, and then user data key. This will read the value from the user data and key, and it will set the correct value to my user object. Now, once this loops through, and it will loop through all keys that I have in my user data object, I need to actually save that user with the new values. So we're going to return. I'll wait because this will be an asynchronous call, user.save. And as we are working in the user class, which is a protected class in parse, it will need to pass in the access key so Cloud Code can have access to the protected objects. So the first parameter is null, and the second one is use master key true. And this should be good to go. So if I deploy this, there we go. Now here in Visual Studio, I have instantiated my parse with my app ID and my JavaScript key, and all I'm doing here is log into with that user, which is Alex, and the password ABC123. And once that login happens, if I get a user, which means I did successfully log in, I'm going to call my Cloud Code. And this is the syntax for running Cloud Code from the front end. And the first parameter is the Cloud Code function name, which we just named update user. So now if I come here and put update user, the second parameter will be a JSON object containing all the properties that I want to set. So for instance, let's go back to our database. And in here, I have my job as an architect. What it happens if I want to set only the job? So I put job, and let's put programmer. Save and run. Note index.js. There we go. If I come back here and reload, I have programmer, but the other variables kept intact. Now, what if I want to change multiple variables at once? So I have programmer, 42, and true. Let's go back to my Visual Studio Code, put the job again to architect. The age will be 43, and our last property is employee. I'm going to set it to false. So is employee false. Save, run it again. And if I come back here and reload, architect 43 and is employee did kept to true. Let's understand why. So if I come back here, oh, the the syntax is wrong. I misspelled it. So if I run this again, come back here and refresh, its employee is now false. So this is how you write very, very flexible Cloud Code, so you can pass in any number of properties for it in any point of your application, so you can have the same function being called at different places, doing different operations depending on what you're trying to achieve. So, if you found this video helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing to the channel so you can help us grow. Also, share this link with a friend and they can learn something too. If you're already subscribed, thank you for that. And if you have any questions, suggestions, or any implementation you want to see, please leave it on the comment section down below. We always answer all the questions. I hope this content was useful to you and hope to see you back. See you soon. Bye bye.